But with the weather outside, it's chilling at about like 67 right now.
That's literally wild, dude. So I'm currently sitting in my little chair. Okay, I don't have the air on because I don't want it to affect sound. It's hot as absolute hell. Okay, and I'm literally sweating. And I just got done coaching a little girls soccer team. Well, little girls and boys soccer team. My daughter's soccer team. So it's 92 degrees out. I'm literally like damn near drenched. I literally threw a hat on so you guys can't see all the sweat on my head. I never pod with a hat either, which is kind of funny. But here we are. So yeah, small little break between a couple of breakdowns. But here we
Mm-hmm.
are, and in my opinion, I think we saved the best two for last.
Absolutely. And
Uh,
I can see you're sweating a little bit, really, because the Patriots are on this pod, is what it is. It's game time for you. I'm next week.
so I'm actually very excited to talk about the Patriots, and I'll save all my opinions for when we get to them. But I do think, however you want to look at it, if you believe the Patriots are a fourth place team, and there are a lot of people that do, that means it's the best division in football. Period. That's that's where I'm at. If you believe the Patriots are a fourth place team, this is the best division in football. Um, does that mean it has the most top end talent? I mean, we'll talk about that, but um, I think it is the best division in football. I don't even think the Patriots are fourth place, but I'm very excited to talk about this division. Obviously, my favorite teams in this division. We kept the AFC East, the AFC North for last, A, because there's so much intrigue in both these divisions, and B, because our favorite teams are in them. So it just made the most sense. And over the last two off seasons, I don't think it's even close. The AFC just seems to be such an arms race. Um, there's a lot of people that have been kind of doing this exercise where if you name the top 8 quarterbacks in the AFC, even the eighth one's pretty good, that person will not make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like whoever you have as the eighth quarterback, somebody in there is going to miss the playoffs just by default. So
Yeah, looking at the last two divisions, some people even go as far because when they do that quarterbacks list, they won't include the Steelers and Patriots, but they will add Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin. Some of the elite coaches don't have the quarterback. But alluding back to your Patriots talk, I do believe that you just talked about it, that it is our two teams in these divisions, but top to bottom, these are the two best divisions remaining, from first to fourth place. And I've told a lot of people, it's just, we'll get to the Patriots in a minute, but when you talk about the Patriots, they were so good for so long that people wanted them to be bad and boring and kind of wrote them off, and they haven't really been at the forefront. And if you do a deep dive, this team is so much better than people give them credit for. They just write it off because they see what's going on with the other three teams, and there's so much talk about them. Patriots are a very good roster.
I personally, and it's going to come off bias, and there's no way for me to get around it. I think I honestly think they're the most underrated team in football. And I'll save all my other opinions for when we get to them. Let's start off same structure we always do. Worst to first.
By the way, any podcast or if you listen to any podcast or watch any show, and the hosts aren't a little bit biased for their teams, I just believe it's not an honest podcast. You should,
Yeah.
everything preseason, you should be hyped for your own team. I don't care if you're a Cardinals fan or a Chiefs fan. You should be excited, and this is hopeful times right now. Everyone's undefeated.
Well, I have no reason to not be honest, and that's where I think that I can. I think it would be respectful to me as a listener to give me the benefit of the doubt that I'm trying to tell you the truth, especially because I don't feel like I lie on this podcast. I think I give it real all the time, real talk. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? If I tell you that I think the Chiefs, I only envision 7 wins, but I think they're going to win 10. It's because I struggle to see the benefits of a lot of their roster. If it's because I think the Raiders are going to win the division last year, it's because I thought they did things that were going to get them in that bubble. If I'm telling you I think the Patriots are underrated, it's because I truly believe that's how they're being viewed when people talk about them. But here we are. Let's get to the Jets. Are you ready? I'm ready for this division.
Ooh, the Jets.
Let's go.
I am ready.
The Jets last year finished 4th in the division, 7-10 overall. And here's the wild part. They lost their last 6 games. At one point, they were 7-4 in kind of one of the shocks of the entire league. Unfortunately, things didn't go great. They finished 2-4 in the division, so not great as well. But much kind of like what I was just talking about, the Patriots being underrated. I'm not saying the Jets are overrated. By no means am I saying that. But I do think that this team has had a ton of hype, and they're going to have to live up to some of it. Otherwise, they will quickly become very overrated. I'll let you take away their key acquisitions or key losses, but this team has been nothing but microscoped for the last 4 months.
Yeah, some of their veterans that they've added, they did add punter Thomas Morstead, one of the better punters in the league. Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman, Randall Cobb, couple Packers there. Billy Turner, a few more offensive linemen, and quarterback Tim Boyle. They also added quarterback Aaron Rodgers. As everybody knows, A-Rod, the big name on campus, comes over to New York from Little Green Bay. They add in the draft Will McDonald, Tipman, a few offensive linemen, but they really sold out to get Aaron Rodgers. They didn't have many picks. They picked McDonald in the first round. Departures, they lose Mike White, backup quarterback. They added Delvin Cook just recently as well, obviously, the last week. Running back James Robinson, wide receiver Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios. A few defensive pieces, Quan Alexander, who is their second or third middle linebacker, and their wide receiver just retired. Corey Davis just retired earlier today. So they have a lot going out, but a lot coming in. Questions really surrounding this team all pretty much have to do with the offensive linemen. They have the weapons, they have the defense, they have the quarterback, but this is a franchise that is historically known for losing. They just haven't been very good over the past 2 decades. It's a lot to change. Everything's been compared to Brady going to the Bucs. Matt Stafford followed to the Rams. Everyone thought that if you are a veteran quarterback, you move, you win. Then Russell Wilson happened last year, and the Broncos were a tragedy. So everyone likes to shoe in immediately. Oh, this is a 11-13 win team. But this is the AFC. This is the AFC East. This is a new team with a young defensive head coach. I'll send it over to you. I know most fans, even though the Jets have been bad, they are a team that is hated by most in this division.
Yeah, I hate the Jets. I'm not gonna lie. It's my most despised team. But I will say this, and again, I think I do a pretty good job of being honest on this podcast. I call a spade a spade. This is a very good paper roster.
Unreal.
It's stupid good. I do wonder. We'll get to the schedule in a second because it's where it gets juicy. Because if you don't take the schedule into consideration, you're just like, where's this team look as far as other teams? I think you would be like, oh, this might be a Super Bowl team. I mean, a lot of things you've already named, and I'm going to sound repetitive, but they had basically two offensive rookie of the years last year. One of them got hurt. The other one won the award. They had the defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner, and they bring in Aaron Bleepin Rodgers. I mean, I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers guy, but the dude won back-to-back MVPs less than 3 years ago. You know what I mean? So two of the last 3 seasons, he was arguably the best quarterback in football, statistically at least. Did his team do much in the playoffs? In my opinion, that's where you kind of have to differentiate where you believe the Jets' ceiling is. But as far as their regular season totals, I do think that they're going to compete, though it's going to be tough. That's just the facts of what this team is. And not to mention, I think they're currently in the best division in football. So 6 of their games are going to be extremely tough. And everybody who thinks the Patriots are dog shit, well, they haven't beat the Patriots in 6 years, 7 years. I've lost count. Okay. So, and they haven't beat them outside of an overtime victory and even longer. It's gotten unreal at this point. So the Jets do have an uphill battle. I think they have a lot of pieces to prove people right/wrong. And I think they're going to be one of the most interesting teams in all of football pretty much the entire season until the season's either over or they're not. So
yeah, a lot of people, it's all over in the media that they're concerned about the tackle back then hasn't really worked out since being drafted in the first round. And Dwayne Brown, I believe is his name. Let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, Dwayne Brown. He's, I believe, going to be 38 by week 2. That is extremely old for a left tackle. I do like to bring up the Eagle prediction last year that I had, but again, a big part of that prediction was because I thought they had a tremendously favorable and weak schedule. The AFC East that we're covering today plays the AFC and the NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles, Washington, Giants. Even if you don't believe Washington and the Giants are going to be good teams, their defenses were still in the top half of the league. I mean, they're not an easy out offensively, especially when you have an entire new group trying to figure it out together. It's kind of just, some of the defensive fronts that they face over their first 6 weeks. I mean, and they're going to be on primetime 2 or 3 times. So I love, obviously the quarterback's tremendous. The running back room goes 3 deep of guys who can play. Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman's a nice 3 receivers. Randall Cobb, I think, would be useless on 31 teams, but he's on the one with Aaron Rodgers. I think that matters a little bit. He's at least serviceable. Their tight ends, Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzomah can do well. This team, it started and ended with what their defense was able to do last year. The amount of pressures up front with Quinnen Williams. They have a linebacker in CJ Mosley, and their secondary was tremendous, which the addition of Adrian Amos, veteran safety, coming over from the Green Bay Packers as well, played for the Bears, played for the Packers. I think this roster's all ready to go. It just depends on, how's Aaron Rodgers going to react if the offensive line isn't good, because the one thing the Packers have had for the last 15 years is a really good offensive line. So if that O-line holds up, this team's going to be real tough out, and that's where you're going to try to attack them. But I mean, they went 7-10 with quarterbacks I don't think anybody wants on their team. So to get Aaron Rodgers, I would assume the floor for this team starts at 8 or 9 wins, which I don't know if that makes the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, one thing that I love to look at for a team is just like, how does the league view them? And I'd have to assume they view them as a draw/interesting. I'm going to read you some numbers here. I'm not even going to tell you the teams. I'm just going to read you some times. 8:15, 4:25, 1 o'clock, 8:20, 4:25, 4:25, 1 o'clock, 8:15, 8:20, 4:25, 3 o'clock on Black Friday. How many 1 o'clocks did you hear? 2? That's their first 11 games.
Yeah,
they're gonna be front and center, because even if they're not the only game on, quote unquote, prime time, they're going to be the featured game lots of weeks. I mean, this is star-studded. This is what Aaron Rodgers gets you at this point. I mean, there's no more Brady. There's no more Manning. You have Mahomes, and really you have Aaron Rodgers as the 2 biggest draws. Burrow and Josh Allen are getting there. Jalen Hurts will be there soon, I think. But really, as far as quarterback play, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers are your 2 biggest media draws. And Aaron Rodgers on TV, a shit ton. Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about their schedule. I mean, this is a good football team, but they have a lot of matchups here.
Yeah, and we'll get there soon, but I don't think many people can argue this. I mean, I've always felt it, but Aaron Rodgers, if we microcosm it to a game, with a lead, Aaron Rodgers is so deadly. He's so free. He can really pour it on you. But when he falls behind, Aaron Rodgers, unless it's against like the Bears or something, he doesn't have many great comebacks. If you extend that to a season, I think the Jets would have rather had an easy schedule the first 6 weeks and then like backloaded gauntlet. It is completely reversed. There is a real scenario where the Jets could find themselves 1-5 early in this season, even like 2-4. It's really on the table, especially when you're looking at a new team trying to get ready to gel. We've talked at length about the Jets, and most people listening to this podcast have, and everything they've read on sports, the Jets are in there somewhere. So we could probably just go ahead and get to this schedule and see what's going on here.
Yeah, one more thing you just talked about. I wanted to throw it in. I don't know if you said it or not. So obviously, you just talked about how Aaron Rodgers statistically, when he falls behind in a game, his win percentage plummets. But another thing that's a fact out there, the last gosh, I wish I had the exact stat in front of me. The last 10 teams to be on Hard Knocks didn't even make the playoffs.
Only one of the last 11, I think, is something like that.
Yeah, something
it's like
wild.
One of the last, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
the Cowboys.
It's kind of harmful to a team in a way. Not harmful as in it just ruins your season, but it's just tough because I think there's some tape to it. Bill Belichick openly admitted he watched the Colts when they were on the in-season Hard Knocks. He said he watched the episodes of Hard Knocks to get a leg up on the Colts. There's something there. I think there's a lot of coaches that probably do something along those lines. So I'm ready for the schedule.
Okay. We get right to it, front and center, Monday night in New York, not celebrate, but the remembering of 9/11, Monday, September 11th in New York versus the Buffalo Bills, Monday night. I know it's a home game, but this team's still trying to get, this is their first time to really see what they can do, and they're facing a machine, a well-oiled machine, one that's coming in 3 years strong. I like the Buffalo Bills.
I like the Jets here.
To take that one. Yeah, okay.
I like the Jets. I like Sauce Gardner up against Diggs. I like I'm going to use the word smoke screen offense because you don't really know what you're getting right now with the Jets. There is an element of when there's so many new pieces to an offense, you don't really have any game tape on it. I think a little bit of that exists. I like the Jets in a home opener with this squad against a Bills team that truly, they've lost some defensive pieces. We don't know what the Diggs at Josh Allen drama is. I'm excited to talk about the Bills here in a minute too, but I like the Jets here.
Okay. They follow that up. Short week. They travel down to Dallas to play the Cowboys.
I like Dallas.
I do too. And again, there's also another stat we don't have in front of us, but teams that start 0-1, playoff percentages. Teams that start 0-2, playoff percentages. And teams that start 0-3, very small chances. I have them at 0-2. So for what that's worth. They are then back home. They play New England at 1 o'clock on CBS.
Streak continues. Got New England.
So you have them at 1-2?
I have them at 2-1. I'm sorry. Yeah, 1-2. 1-2.
Okay, same.
Yeah. Sorry.
They then host the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's another loss. I think Kansas City. The thing that I struggle with Kansas City is to find the wins. I know they'll get some. This is a marquee matchup. I like Kansas City here.
At Denver. Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos. There's a lot of weird, messy stuff going on here.
I wish we could redo Denver. There's a couple teams I wish we could redo. My stock in the offseason, I think, was really low, and it started to rise. It hasn't hit the floor, but it started to come back down. I like the Jets here.
Okay, I think this is where Robert Saleh gets outcoached. I just think that's what the is going to be talked about here. Maybe a little bit of a Saleh, Aaron Rodgers sideline disagreement type thing late. But, yeah, we will be redoing some of our teams in our final episode. I'm excited to kind of readjust our market there. But then week 6, they come back home, but they host the Philadelphia Eagles. Out-of-conference road spot for the Eagles.
Yeah, I like the Eagles here.
So do I.
I have a fun stat. So they start the season with 4 home games and 2 road games, yet I have them going 2-4.
I have them 2-4 as well. By the way, guys, they hit their bye week 7.
Can we real quick, because we both have them 2-4? I think that's fun, even though we disagreed on every single game that they got the wins. let's hypothetically talk here because I like to do
Okay.
that.
Sure.
What's the ceiling here?
What's the best they could do in these 4 games?
There's no way they're going 6-0. They're going 6-0. They're winning the Super Bowl. And we're way too low on them.
I think best case scenario they're 4-2. I think they would be 3-1, 3-1 at home and split the road games. 4-2.
That's fair.
That's just such a tough stretch, especially.
Yeah.
Also, if he plays with the tackles, Gregory Rousseau and Von Miller week 1, Mike week 2, Matthew Judon week 3. We don't know yet, but potentially Chris Jones week 4.
Put some respect on Josh Uche's name, son. He had 11 sacks last year.
All right, Josh Uche. I'm sorry. Still, good. Denver has a great defense. At least they did last year. And then Philadelphia's front 7 is loaded. So if the offensive line is going to be an issue, if it really pans out that way, they play really, really good fronts and or edge rushers. And, I mean, it's going to be shown early and often if they really have that issue. But let's get going. After the bye week, they come out of the bye week. It is considered a road game, but they are in the same stadium as their home spot against Giants.
I like them here.
Yeah, I'm higher on the Giants than the way you're talking about the Broncos. I'm higher on the Giants than I was earlier, but off of a bye, I do like the Jets here. Then they stay at home Monday nighter. The Chargers come cross country from LA to New York, and we have a Monday night just glorious game.
I like the Chargers.
What a game.
Yeah, great game.
Give me the Chargers. Then they are at the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday night. Back-to-back primetime spot. We'll be seeing a lot of the Jets, as you mentioned.
I'm giving them the win, but I don't love it here.
Yeah, same. As a 5-win team, I would like to add a couple to them, I think. Then Sunday night, they rematch Buffalo in Buffalo. It's not a Sunday night. I'm sorry, 4:25.
You're good. I've seen that. Yeah, I like Buffalo in a rebound spot here just to split with them.
Kind of like Buffalo to sweep them. Then they play the Dolphins on Black Friday. First time ever. Black Friday game. At home.
I honest to God, I'm this is the one team I'm not excited to talk about in the AFC East is the Dolphins because I don't know what I'm getting with Tua, and they're 2 different teams. If Tua's playing here, I like the Dolphins a lot, and I think that they have a real chance to win this division if he plays 15 to 16 games. The problem is there's a real chance his career is literally finished in the first month of the season. I mean, that's really where we're at with Tua. I mean, I know that's bad news. People think I'm being really pessimistic, but if Miami's I don't predict injuries on this pod, so let's go Miami here with the victory on Black Friday.
I'm taking New York, and this is the reason why. Last year, Miami played New York twice. Now, both times Skylar Thompson was the quarterback, not Tua. But they scored 11 points and 17 points. Even if you add a touchdown, I don't know if 20 or 23 points is going to be enough to beat this Jets team with Aaron Rodgers. And they have a defense that they really, really give problems. So I like the Jets at home on Black Friday. They come out of that game, the first of 3 straight home games, and they play the Atlanta Falcons.
Another team I wish I could have a redo on. Not because I would drastically destroy them, but I think I was a little high.
Same.
I don't remember if I took Atlanta or the Jets. While I think Atlanta has a shot, I do like the Jets in this game.
Yeah, I had the Jets losing to the Bills. They're on a 2-game win streak now, and now they're home for a 3rd straight time against Houston. I like the Jets to kind of get hot here and finally get over the 500 mark for me. You had them at 1-0 at the beginning. This would be their first time over 500 in a while, I'm assuming. I don't know what your looks
I think
like.
so, because I have them currently at 6-7.
I have them at 7-6. It's
Okay.
now December 17th. They go down to Miami.
Yeah, see, nothing changes here for me as long as Tua's in. I think that Miami's a better team, especially mid-December. They're supposed to have Jalen Ramsey back at that point. So I'm going to stick with the same criteria that I had. I think Miami is the better team.
Yeah.
I'll take Miami, especially because Aaron Rodgers in the state of Florida is horrendous.
Yeah, I'm going to have them split here. So 7 games to go. At home, December 24th versus Washington.
Yeah,
I think
they're beating
Washington may just
Washington.
be looking for Caleb Williams here, potentially.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, then week 17, they play Thursday night at Cleveland. I like the Jets.
I like Cleveland in an upset here.
I like the Jets. And then kind of unfortunate for New England here if you value extra rest here for the Jets, but the Jets get a long week before the final game of the season where they are at the New England Patriots. I actually like the Jets to win their last 3. Actually, I have the Jets winning 6 of their last 7 as a very hard push to finish 10-7 on the season.
I like them beating New England in New England. They moved to 8-9. Just a very tough schedule.
Yeah. Also,
and I don't see them. I see them winning a lot of their winnable games, but I have them dropping in places that I think are easily droppable, and they play too many good teams to not have a bunch of losses.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Just even in betting here, it might be better on AFC teams to value the under because in a vacuum, these teams should have 11 or 12. But all the good teams are playing all the good teams. You're going to lose them. And just because on paper you're favored doesn't mean in the NFL you're just going to beat all the teams you're better than. Just because we think the Jets are better than the Commanders doesn't mean the Commanders don't, fumbled, snap, recovered, and take a punt back to the house. Like, it's the NFL. So I just think that when you hear 8-9, people will be like, Jeff, you're kind of being harsh. They got Aaron Rodgers. They're going to win more than that. Dude, they play all the other good teams in the AFC. A lot of them.
Let me just do this real quick. We won't even go win-loss. I'm just going to read you some names. You ready? Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Mac Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Allen, Tua, Desmond Ridder, C.J. Stroud, Tua, Sam Howell, Deshaun Watkins, Mac Jones. There's 8 elite quarterbacks in that list?
Actually, when you read it like that, really good about like the back half of me having 6 of their last 7 games, because when you started all the way up to like week 12, that was brutal. But then it was Desmond Ridder, C.J. Stroud, Tua, or it could be Skylar Thompson. A lot of people may say Sam Howell. What is Deshaun Watson after that? And Mac Jones. So it's like I feel like they got a very doable back half. But how far in the hole are they going? If it gets to week 12 and they're 7-5, this is a team that could get to 12 wins. I think their December is really favorable. Their December they play 5 games and it's Falcons, Texans, Dolphins, Washington, Browns. Like, I also think AFC, another thing that's tough is like if you draw the West, the random team you're playing from the North is going to be a really good team. Like the Jets got lucky drawing the Texans instead of getting maybe the Jags or Titans.
Here's the schedule break in my opinion for the Jets. You want me to be optimistic? Here's Jets fans. I'll be truthful with you. Here's your scheduling break. Both times you play Tua are post Thanksgiving. That's huge. Okay. Starting on Black Friday, you play Miami, Atlanta, who you're better than, Houston, then you're better than, Miami against. You get them twice in a month, and potentially both without Tua. Washington, who you're better than. Cleveland, I think it's a toss-up. Cleveland's not as bad as people think they're going to be, and they'll win some games, especially at home. And then you close with New England, who you haven't had great success with, but that's a winnable game. You basically close your last 7 games where they'll probably be favored in all but maybe 2.
Yeah, and like I said, right when you start on Black Friday, 4 of your next 5 are home games.
Yeah.
That's big. And the AFC got the extra home game this year, and one of their away games is in their own stadium. It's just going to have blue paint. Like,
yeah,
they basically have 10 home
point.
games this year.
That's a great
They have 10
point.
home games. Like, that sucks for New York, like the Giants, because they have, or maybe it's the NFC that is the extra home game.
No, you're
3,
right.
4,
you're right.
5, 6,
it is
7,
the
8,
AFC.
9. Yeah, they do have the extra one.
Well, I'm out.
They got 9 home games.
You're right here. I believe it's 2 of the teams get extra, and then 2 of the other teams get extra, and it kind of.
No, they do AFC or NFC, because that like extra NFC game that you have, they always give the home team to the AFC, and then next year it'll be NFC. They're going to alternate every year.
Gotcha.
So like all the NFC teams this year, like slated to have 9. Away
and
games.
even if you don't want to include the fact that the Giants, obviously it's still their stadium, they also play at Buffalo, which is a hour-and-a-half drive or a 20-minute flight. I mean, literally, they don't leave the state of New York that often. So,
yeah, and a lot of people say if you play at Vegas, if you're a big team, you could potentially even have more fans there than Vegas could. So,
yeah,
we've murdered the Jets here at the beginning of the pods.
Yeah, we went 30 minutes.
We covered just about everything. Yeah, they deserved it though. They've been the talk of the NFL for 2 months.
They are arguably the most interesting team going into the season. They deserve a little bit of love.
Aaron Rodgers went from days as dark as night to nights with the brightest lights. You know what I'm saying? It's a total transformation.
Yeah. Let me pull up the next team.
It's kind of cool.
Next team, the New England Patriots. Finished the season 8-9. They were 3-3 in division. They lost their last game of the season to drop them under 500. Take it away.
Yeah, so what I have here for key additions, wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. They added 2 offensive tackles. They take Mike Gesicki from in division from the Dolphins, a very good pass-catching tight end. Linebacker Chris Board and punter Corliss Waitman. I think is that.
They drafted him. They
got Christian Gonzalez, one of the top corners who kind of slid down the draft board. Keon White, defensive end, who's had a phenomenal camp. Safety, center, kicker, and couple guards. Their departures, running back Damian Harris, Jacoby Myers, and Nelson Aguilar at wide receiver. They lose tight end Jonnu Smith, but replaced him with Mike Gesicki, obviously. Offensive tackle Isaiah Wynn, which is kind of tough. 2 more tackles, a center. Retire McCourty, the other McCourty twin, hangs him up, and punter Jake Bailey. But a big addition that's not on the players, they got Bill O'Brien. They have an actual offensive coordinator, which is actually massive because we all have to just take a second and back ourselves up to where we were exactly a year ago. And one of the reasons a lot of us hopped off the Patriots is because of their coordinator situation. Remember, you can say it's because of injuries and sitting out, but Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler. And Bill O'Brien, who he's worked with again. And if you have hesitations, which maybe some of us can, on saying Bill Belichick isn't a great coach, he was only great when he had Tom Brady, because I do hear some people say that. What is non-negotiable is he is an elite defensive play caller, and he's going to be calling the defense. He has an actual OC. I'm just going to let you take it away, man. It's your team. Go ahead and hype us up. Why are the Patriots winning the Super Bowl, man? Let us know.
I think the biggest roadblocks in me convincing somebody that's listening that the Patriots are good, they have this notion that because Tom Brady's gone, that this team isn't a Super Bowl team. And I would agree with you. But just because you're not a Super Bowl team doesn't mean you're not a good football team. The Minnesota Vikings are not a Super Bowl team. Would you agree?
Yes.
You didn't think they were a Super Bowl team even last year, but they were a good football team. There are good football teams that don't necessarily have a Super Bowl window right now. Okay. I think you would even probably agree that your Pittsburgh Steelers, not to preseason next week, but are a very good football team that don't necessarily have a Super Bowl window right now. Okay. There are teams that fall into that category. Second thing, and this is honestly like the most laughable thing that I hear consistently, that the Patriots don't have any weapons. This isn't 2020 anymore. I screamed on this pod for a whole year that the Patriots had the worst weapons in the whole league. That is not the case any longer. They have 3 proven wide receivers that are going to start for this team, not to mention the guys they're going to work in. Go ahead.
I just want to jump in on the 3 receivers. If you don't think Kendrick Bourne's a good wide receiver, you're just not watching the games.
You don't watch football. You don't watch the Patriots.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I actually I might like him the most out of the 3 receivers.
I tend to agree with you. I love Juju. I love Devontae Parker, and I love Kendrick Bourne, all as their own entities on this team. We do not have an A. We don't. I'm not selling you on the fact that we have an A. But we have 3 Bs, arguably B pluses. Nobody is an A plus, nobody is an A, but I think we have 3 B pluses. Let's move. We have 2 of, I believe, the top 10 tight ends in the league. 2 of them. If you want to start naming tight ends, I believe we have 2. If you don't think they're top 10, they're top 15, and we have 2 of them. I also believe that we have one of the better running backs, especially young running backs in this league, and we now have a proven pass protector and short yardage back in Zeke. He was even good in that role in Dallas last year. The one hiccup I believe this team has, and a lot of teams have this, they have questions on the offensive line. Lots of teams have questions on the offensive line. Lots of teams. There are probably 5 good offensive lines, like dominant offensive lines in this NFL league season. The rest of the teams have question marks somewhere. New England has a great center, a great right guard, a solid left tackle, and then they have 2 question marks. That's a lot of teams. Tons of teams have that. I think ultimately New England's going to be a top 10 defensive team and good on offense. And you can't tell me that they regressed on offense when they added better pieces and an offensive coordinator. So now, that's what I had to say. I think a lot of times people can't get past the fact that a couple of years ago, this team was going to bat with Nelson Aguilar, a first-year Kendrick Bourne, and who else was horrible on this team? I don't even remember. Oh, my goodness. What's his face? He was in Carolina. I don't even remember his name. That's how bad he was. Like, this isn't the 2020 receiving core anymore. And Jonnu Smith was a failed experiment. I don't think Mike Gesicki will be. I think he's going to be a serious player in this offense. I'm very excited for this team. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl. That is not coming out of my mouth. But they're going to be way better than anybody thinks, because if you have them at 5, 6, or 7 wins, you're low. You're too low.
So everybody was willing to say that Trevor Lawrence's Urban Meyer didn't matter. Like, some people just have these reasons why they just want to dismiss a year. And it's like, Matt Jones did everything right at the collegiate level, won a national championship, came in, showed signs of being a good quarterback, and then Bill Belichick gave him a DC and a special teams coordinator and tried to run an offense, and it was an absolute disaster. And the team still won 8 games, was it?
So you're talking about with last year?
Just
8.
Last year.
8.
Yeah. Matt Jones, I believe, is going to get better in a system designed to succeed. Mike Gesicki, we talk about him being a tight end. I think there was something like 74% of his snaps or something like that. He was lined up in the slot or out wide. He's not your typical tight end, which is a good thing. We saw some athletic ability from Malik Cunningham in the preseason. I'm sure he'll get some weird packages and plays. But we've said a bunch of stuff about the questions about Mac and this and that. just go to the defense. It's always good. This
Oh, the
defense
defense
is
is gonna be
always
great.
good. Yeah, there's never been a time where it's been like, man, 3 weeks in a row, the Patriots defense gave up 31 points. Like, and they play against some really good offenses in an AFC. We just talked about Matthew Judon and Josh Uche earlier briefly. Both guys in double-digit sacks. Lawrence Guy is a big factor up front. The corner, is it Jonathan Jones who just got to leave court? He's back with
So
the
that's
team.
Jack
Year
Jones.
last year.
Jonathan Jones he's been one of the better slot corners in the league for years.
But still, Jack Jones is back. So add another
Yep.
one. Jonathan Jones, Jack Jones. Christian Gonzalez was a lockdown corner from Oregon. Some people didn't like his attitude, and Bill said, just give me a great player who goes to work, checks his box. Jabril Peppers has been a good addition. Jalen Mills has been fantastic. And I was the first guy in line to shit on them taking some dude named Kyle Duggar in the second round. Been a dog into the league. So, I'm also Ramondre Stevenson. Some people might think they know that he was 7th in fantasy football points as on all running backs last year. 7th. Now I don't know what that exactly translates into as yards and statistics, but to get points in fantasy, you have to get yards and touchdowns. It's just so this team. Like Jeff said, like you said, I'd like to go back to the fact that sure, the Patriots are in too tough of a conference. They're not making the playoffs. They're just not good. There's no shot this team's only winning 5 games. They're not a bad football
that's
team.
Laughable to me. That's laughable.
I think that's crazy. There are some teams we talk about. Maybe it's the LA teams or Las Vegas or maybe Jacksonville. A lot of teams don't have a home field advantage, but some do, and Foxborough does. So there's a lot to like about this Patriots team when you start to dive in on them. I think Mac Jones is an easy guy for people to just dismiss or not like. And it's just kind of a bunch of misfits in the wide receiver room. But I think, like I said, sometimes depth is more important than just having that one guy. So I like the Patriots more than most. I haven't looked at their schedule really. I know it's probably going to be tough. And I don't see them getting to 10 wins, but I think I'm keeping them under 7. I mean, I'd like to see how it goes. I'm not going to try and cater it, but this team's not bad. I think the Patriots are. No one wants to see the Patriots on their schedule. I'll say that. No one's like, oh, this Sunday we play New England, sweet. Nobody's saying that. They're not the Cardinals.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my one last point before we move on is, if you truly believe this team's a 4th place team and they're as good as I think they are, they're the most underrated team in the league. I just think that they're better than 4th place. And even if they are 4th place, it's not without swinging on someone. So if 4th place is 8-9 again, we're the best division in football.
You start. I mean, they got 2 good pass rushers with a great secondary, and their offense is young. But Bill O'Brien's always been a good offensive. It was a disaster at head coach at the Texans.
He wasn't a disaster head coach. He was a disaster GM. He was a disaster GM. That's it. He was a good head coach.
Even still, I mean, the Texans organization has been a revolving door of fired coaches and GMs and everything being bad. When he was anywhere else, people were like, man, Bill O'Brien, he fucking dials it up. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm excited to see what I have here because that's what this is all about. But I'll tell you right now, we're going to disagree here a little bit, but let's run it. 1, they host the Super Bowl runners-up in Philadelphia at 425 in Foxborough.
What a scheduling break this is for New England. You're getting the Super Bowl runner-up with a new offensive play caller. Defensive pieces coming in and out. A lot of rookies on defense. I think New England gets them at home with Tom Brady in the house. I've said this on the AFC's pod. I know we disagreed. It's one of the early season bets I've already locked in. Patriots on the money line. I actually altered the spread at plus 2.5. So I like them at least by a field goal here at home.
Yeah, so I am taking the Eagles to win, but I do think this is a game where I think the Eagles roster and pedigree kind of gets the dub. But I think week one I will be taking the Patriots plus the points. I think this is a really close game, but I think the Eagles are going to win. Can't wait to start betting on live football, bro. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Week two, they stay in Foxborough. Sunday night, it's the Dolphins. Now, mind you, people have said Tua has had success against the Patriots. Let me go look. I just hear that narrative a lot. I haven't looked it up. So they beat them 20-7, and then when they played again, it was with Teddy Bridgewater, but they lost 23-21.
Two has never lost to New England, if that's what you're looking up.
I was just the Patriots in general. I was just curious.
Oh, yeah. He's undefeated against New England, but we did get them last year one time. We split.
Yeah. Okay. Back to New England. Okay, Sunday night against Miami.
Yeah, I hate that we get them this early. Because with Tua, I think they're a little better. Not that I think that Tua is like this world beater, because I think that's kind of maybe getting lost. But he's effective for what they try to do. I think he's a pretty solid quarterback. He's top of the food chain as far as like there's 32 quarterbacks. He ain't 20. So he's closer to the top 10. I like him in week 2 to get a W at New England in an upset. But with that being said, before you give yours, I may have these two games flipped. I think New England's 1-1 to start the year.
I just I obviously have the whole schedule. You don't have the schedule in front of you. You wait for me to say
it. I actually do.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at it, and I think Patriots can. This is just a brutal schedule early. I have them losing their first two again, even after I said they have a home field advantage. I'm really high on the Eagles and the Dolphins both this year. I have them 0-2. That week 3 they're going to the New York Jets.
I like them to win that. I just said that a second ago. It's a great spot for us at 1:00. They're going to be obviously looking at us and kind of licking their chops a little bit because they have such a tough schedule that they probably look at us as like the easy bait. But I just don't think that's the case.
I like the pass rushers to just win the battle, make Aaron really uncomfortable. I think so too. I think this is honestly a must-win spot for the Patriots. Every team wants to win the Super Bowl. The Patriots at 0-2, it's a must-win. It might be for the Jets too. This could be two 0-2 teams facing each other. We just went through the Jets schedule earlier. This 0-2 teams facing each other with a chance to put their playoff hopes almost beyond the grave. But I do like the Patriots actually to take a short trip over to New York and beat the New York Jets. And against the Jets, I gave them a win there, but it ain't always perfect. We're just going to keep going. Back-to-back road spot, they travel to Dallas.
Yeah, I'm just so high on Dallas, and I think that New England going on the road, a game that we've seen just 2 years ago, was a great game. Just New England couldn't get it done. I see very similar, even Zeke returning. I just like Dallas too much. Give me Dallas here.
I'm going to mark down a loss, but I've changed my mind on the Jets game. I think the Patriots start 0-3. They're going to beat Dallas, though. They're 1-3 for me, but I'm switching the Dallas and the Jets. So I have them losing to the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, then beating the Cowboys. We come back home, they and Saints. I like them to beat the Saints as well.
Yeah, it's a great spot for New England at 2-2. Derek Carr outside's never been a world beater. And I just think that this is a complete coaching mismatch. Bill Belichick, Dennis Allen, giving New England here at home 3-2.
Then they're back on the road to Las Vegas where they play the Raiders. I think they rattle off 3 in a row and they're 3-3, back to 500.
The most embarrassing game of the entire season for any team last year was how New England finished against Vegas. This is a bounce back. New England moves to 4-2.
Then they host the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, this is where things are great, but unfortunately, Josh Allen has kind of been terrific against New England. I'm taking Buffalo here, but I would love to see where Buffalo stands at this point. Obviously, it's a full-length season prediction. We haven't seen them play a game. I could change my mind. I like Buffalo right now.
I'm telling you right now, this is an upset spot. Patriots take the Bills. I like the Patriots to take the Bills here. With the loss of Tremaine Edmonds, I think the Bills are going to be susceptible to be ran on the middle of the field. A lot of physical receivers who like the middle on New England. Upsets. October 29th, they go to the Miami Dolphins. I just think.
Real quick before you get into Miami. I had them beating New Orleans and Vegas. If they're truly beating Buffalo like you think they are, holy hell. They're rolling off November, and this is prime Belichick. Because they're splitting with Miami. However you want to look at it, they're splitting with them. They're beating them here. And then the next couple get very easy.
Yeah, so I actually have them losing to Miami, which has them at 4-4. And the reason why Jeff is saying that is because the next two games, they host the Washington team.
Dub.
I'm going to give them a W. And then in Germany, right, is the Patriots-Colts game, where Patriots have a pretty big following in Germany.
And they're playing a rookie head coach and rookie quarterback. Dub.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to take Bill in those situations for sure. Okay, so they head into the bye week. I have them at 6-4.
Yeah, I have them at 7-3.
Okay.
And I truly, at this moment, I believe their floor is 5-5. I believe that's their floor. What do you have, Matt?
I have them at 6-4.
Yeah, I think you're fair here. I think you're fair. I think I might be a hair high because I've given them a split with Miami.
You said. Well, the thing is, I let them. Miami swept them, but I have them upsetting the Bills. So I mean, if you want to look at those three games there,
and I haven't beaten the Eagles.
I think their floor is 4-6 going into the bye. I think they're winning 4 games of those first 10. It's still Bill Belichick, Bill O'Brien. That's their floor. I have them at 6 wins.
That's fair. That's fair. I won't argue too much on a 4-6 floor.
They hit the bye.
Let me dissect a little bit, especially because this is my team. The one area that post Brady we have struggled is elite quarterbacks. I'm not saying better than Mac. I'm saying elite. They would play Hurts, Tua, Rodgers, Dak, Carr, maybe Jimmy, Josh, Tua. That is tough. They have 8 that I think are very good.
Yeah, obviously when we say elite, you think top 5 and Carr. You have your disagreements on Dak and Tua. All these guys are veterans who have thrown for over 4,000 or 5,000 yards, have lit up teams, have had success against Bill in the fast. You guys understand what's going on there. But they have a bye week. They come onto the bye week versus the Giants, who, again, I'm higher on, but there's some coaches you just take them off of a bye, and that's Bill Belichick. I mean, coming off of a bye versus Daniel Jones, we just talked about quarterbacks. I'm giving him the dub against the Giants here.
Sorry, dub.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Thought you heard me.
No, I did. I'm sorry. They then host the Chargers. I like them to take an L here on the Chargers.
Only because this is in December at home. This is a scheduling break for New England. They've owned Justin Herbert in their 2 victories over him. I like him to move to another one in a coaching mismatch. Man, 9-3.
They're then the beginning of 3 straight primetime games. Thursday night at the Pittsburgh Steelers. There is 0% chance you get me to say the Steelers aren't winning this game. Yeah, it's just because it's the pod battle. No, but where you got it going?
So here's the thing. I have them winning 5 in a row. And they're moving to Pittsburgh that are basically, and I've said this a couple different times to you, our teams are very similar. We have question marks at whether or not our quarterback is elite. We have great defenses. We have good skill players, but not elite skill players. Pickens, we'll see. And we have running backs, and we're well coached. We beat you last year in Pittsburgh. We've had your number over the years. I like us to move to 10-3.
Okay. They then follow that up extra long week. Monday night, they host the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is where the season could be made or break because I truly believe that we actually match up with Kansas City so well, and it sparks a win. But I've said this a couple different times. I gave them a win. I've given New England a lot of wins here. Let me give them a win. New England's one of the shocks of the league.
I love the. I might be even harder to listen to when the Steelers get here next week. Okay, then the problem is if you're going to construct a roster, I like the Patriots better than the Chiefs. I like a lot of teams better than the Chiefs, but they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So
yeah.
So it's weird.
No, I know.
They have extra time to rest, and the Chiefs are coming up. Forgive me for a minute. I want to see what the Chiefs' schedule looks like leading up to the Patriots. Schedule.
You're good.
They play the fucking Buffalo Bills the week before the Patriots. Like, Patriots are beating the Chiefs.
I told you that before the season that we're beating the Chiefs and the Eagles. I feel very confident about those two games because it's just the matchups are weird.
Okay, after that short week on the road to Denver, Christmas Eve in Denver. They're losing that game.
It's a loss. We, for whatever reason, can't win in Denver. Denver, by this point, even if they're not what they thought they were, they'll have things figured out. I think New England drops this game.
They're then at Buffalo. I think they lose again.
They struggle to beat Josh Allen. That's why I have Buffalo as the only team that sweeps us. I agree.
And then they finish out the season hosting the Jets, where I think they lose again and finish after beating the Chiefs on a high, lose 3 straight to end the season.
And while I got a little high on myself, I gave them 11 wins. I do believe, and I just gave the Jets that win a second ago, I do believe because this isn't a Super Bowl team and they start to hit some reality, I do think they drop 3 in a row to end the season as well. I just think there's such a strong patch in the middle of the season that really sets up so well. And if they truly split with Buffalo, this team 100% could win the division. I don't think they do. They're an 11-6 playoff team.
I mean, talk about the elite of the elites. I have them losing to the Eagles, being swept by the Dolphins. I have them snatching a win off Buffalo, splitting with the Jets, so 3-3 in division. I have them pulling off a win against the Chiefs. At home they have really done well against Justin Herbert. December 3rd in Foxborough. Those receivers, the Chargers' whole team can't stay healthy. Brandon Staley's not the best coach. There's a lot of things to like about that. Like, just imagine Mac Jones plays as a Pro Bowler, not top 5 quarterback in the league, but just as Pro Bowl level quarterback. If Mac Jones threw for 28 touchdowns, 7 picks, and 4,000 yards, like, this team is really, really hard to beat. Bill takes away what you do best. He's got good edge rushers. He's got good secondary. They have a running game. They have B receivers, so no, they're not going to explode for 35 points. But how many people have had the Patriots defense in fantasy and they won you 2 or 3 weeks because they pop off, or their special teams are always good. Like, they're always so clean. Some people may listen and be like, and they cheat and pay the refs. I mean, that's on you if that's how you want to think, sure. But whatever the scenario is.
Let me ask you a couple questions here. How many points per game do you think New England averaged last year? Do you know?
I do not. know, but yes, I would say 19.
You're a little low. 21.
Okay.
They won 8 games. They won 8 games. Okay.
With 2 fourth graders at the offensive coordinator spot.
Yes. Okay. Mind you, what do you think they averaged over the last 3 games of the year?
Who did they play?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I'll give you a hint.
Their
It's
last-
21. It's 21. So even over the course of the entire year, they did not improve. Okay. How much do you think they averaged at home for the year?
I'm assuming higher, 24.
No, 19 and a half. Basically, what I'm telling you is they were horrendous on offense the entire year. The entire year, they were bad on offense. You cannot tell me that Bill O'Brien comes in and does not improve this offense. Juju for Jacoby Myers. Mike Gesicki for Jonnu Smith doesn't improve this offense. And instead of Damian Harris, we now have an elite pass protector and short yardage back in Zeke, who I don't even love the Zeke signing, but I think it's complementary to Stevenson more than Harris was. You can't tell me that doesn't add any value to this team. The only significant loss this team experienced in any way, shape, or form was Devin McCourty leaving, and it's just for leadership because Devin's one of my favorite Patriots of all time. He was good to average his last 2 seasons. They have a very great defense, and they had the most sacks under Bill Belichick last year of any Bill Belichick team ever. This team is going to be way better than you think they are. Am I high with 11-6? Maybe. I think they're 9-11 wins. Yeah. I have them on the high end because they're my favorite team, and I'm always going to come on bias, I'm sure, to a lot of you. Watch out for New England.
You have to.
They're better than you think they are. That's my slogan. They are better than you think they are. Whatever that is. If you think they're 4 wins, you're crazy. 5 wins, crazy. 7 wins, don't tell me they regressed. You can't. There's no argument that they regressed. The only argument is like, well, they have the Aaron Rodgers is with the Jets. So all of a sudden, New England has to lose multiple games. Now it doesn't make sense to me. Give me New England. I like them at least 9-11 wins. I have them at 11.
They split last year with Miami. They got swept by Buffalo, and they swept New York. So you could say, well, the Jets are better. They have Aaron Rodgers and that. If they go 3-3 in division, like that's all they have to do, and then outside
they will go 3-3.
But I'm just saying, if your whole basis for them being bad is because their division's so good, you're expecting them to go 1-5 in division, and I just don't know if that's real. Real quick, backtrack to the Jets. What was your record prediction for the Jets? You have them at 8-9.
8-9.
Okay, so just because we got a little bit ahead of myself getting to the Patriots. What do you think the Jets over under is set at? I have them at 10-7. You have them at 8.
A lot of tough wins, but a great roster. I have them at 8-9. I'm gonna guess 9. I'm gonna guess 9-5.
That is correct. 9.5. Okay. You have the under.
Sorry, I said 9-5. 9.5. You know what I meant.
Yeah, but you have the under by 2. I have the over by 1. And then for the Patriots, you have them at 11-6. I have them at 8-9. What do you think their over under is? If you haven't already looked, you may have.
I honestly haven't.
Oh, I just
weirdly enough, I have not looked. They're probably massively disrespected. I'm between 7.5 and 8.5. I'm being pessimistic. Is it 7.5?
It is 7.5.
That's absolutely disrespectful. I'm sorry.
So that's a big over smash for you as well.
Yeah, it is. I've said that from day one.
How far is he behind Don Shula for the all-time record? Is it 11?
It won't happen. No, it's like 17 games. It won't happen this year.
Oh, wow. So they're not going to go 17-0. You heard it here first. They are not going undefeated.
Get out of here. Coaching.
That's hilarious.
All-time wins. Looking right now. Hang on here. Okay. Don Shula at 328, George Halas at 318, and Bill Belichick at 298.
So he's 20 behind? I don't know if I heard those numbers right.
Sorry. Don Shula, 328. He's number one overall.
Yeah, then the next
George
guy's 10
Halas
behind.
at 318. Bill Belichick, number 3 at 298. So if I have him at 10 wins, he will match George Halas. No, he will not. He'll have 308. So he's a couple seasons behind, really.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I believe what you're looking at may not count playoff wins as well.
It doesn't, because he's number one overall, I think, in that, isn't he?
I don't think so, because think about it. Bill Belichick, how many playoff wins, like in the 20s, or is it like 31? Don Shula's going to have some as well, because I thought there was a scenario where I think he's like 14 behind, so they anticipate him breaking it next year. They would have to be tremendous. I thought it was reachable this year if you count.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, you're correct. The all-time wins list, including playoffs. Okay?
Yeah.
347 for Don Shula, 329 for Bill Belichick. So he is 18 away. He will not hit it this year.
Okay, so it's not reachable, but it is. It's like people anticipate like 9 and 8, and he could tie it.
So if he gets 11 and 6, like I said, and wins one playoff game, he's within reach next season. If he is a 7-win team, like a lot of people think he is, in a 7-win team next year, he still has to coach another year.
I told you I get a lot of my spreadsheets from a podcast where I do. And both guys had the Patriots at 6 and 11, and their guest speaker who comes on, who like they have a guest speaker on for a lot of these, and the person they bring on is like a fan of that team who also has like a radio talk and stuff like that. Yeah. They brought someone on from Boston who is a Patriots fan, and he had them at 5 and 12. So not a lot of believers, a lot of pessimistic stuff going on.
Let me be pessimistic. Let me just be pessimistic real quick. 1,000% getting a split with the Jets. But I'm going to assume they're bad. They're splitting with the Jets. I think they're beating Vegas, Washington, Indianapolis, the Giants. That's 5. They're not winning another game?
Well, like I said,
that's wild to me.
Actually, the guest speaker, his few that he locked in was New England under 7.5 wins and New England minus 120 lock at 4th place. He's a fan of the team, and he was just. I was listening to the podcast, and I was like, "How's no one gonna try to be optimistic about these teams? Like they're just dumping on them." Like I thought I was pretty fair. Maybe I don't know, but I have him at 8 and 9. I think that's a really fair. Like I said, somewhere between 7 and 10 wins, I think, is a good spot for the Patriots. Them winning 5 games there's just no way. I can't see it. Even if Matt got hurt, Bailey Zappi's, they have an okay second string too. Like
you're 8 and 9. I wouldn't argue with you. Belichick's dragging this team to 8 wins. He's dragging them to 8 wins. I mean, dude, I just read you off 5 locks. Like, come on. You don't think they're winning any of these other games? They're not this bad. It's just wild to me. Is it strictly because people think Mac's 100%
certain? They have to, yeah. But I'll say that the only thing I'm 100% certain on before we move on is they're taking a fat L on December 7th. That's all I know. Taking that healthy loss on December 7th, boy.
Not a chance. Not a chance. That'll be a healthy pod that week prior to the game. All right.
Do you have all these team schedules in front of you, or did you just have the Patriots?
No, I'm pulling them up as. So here's the thing. In the pods past, I haven't been doing it.
Right. Yeah.
This was the first pod that I pulled them up prior, just so I can kind of have a overall.
Like, what's kind of bullshit? Well, kind of, but I guess I have all this stuff available to me. But I was like, let me see how they're going to play against the Chiefs. Let me go look up the Chiefs. And they
Yeah.
played the Bills the week before. Patriots on a get up spot for them. And it's like, oh, that's a great time for New England to kind of pounce.
Yeah.
Well, I said the Dolphins are going to beat the Patriots in Foxborough week 2. I didn't know that they travel from Miami to LA week 1 and then from LA to Foxborough for week 2. Like, that's cross country travel to come into a team that's just been at home ready to go. Like, seeing this now makes me kind of want to give New England, no Jalen Ramsey yet, New England week 2 a win. So that's why doing sounds is fun. So at the end of the year, when we go through and give our definitive, predictions, it's kind of fun. But before we get to the schedule, you got anything you want to say left on the Patriots?
I just believe that you're undervaluing them. Not you specifically. Yeah, you included, but everybody. I just think that they are the most underrated team in football. And there's no way for me to not think that when everybody has them fourth, everybody has them under 500, and I believe I think they have a ceiling of 12 wins. You can't possibly sell me on the idea that New England was so bad last year with their offensive coordinator, and yet they hired a competent one, improved their offense, and they're somehow worse. It just doesn't make logical sense to me.
Oh, I get that.
I'm very excited to talk about Dolphins, but I absolutely hate it as well.
All right, let's get into it. Their key additions: backup quarterback
Hang
Mike.
on. Let me get into their record here.
Oh
So,
yeah.
sorry. The Dolphins were 9-8 last year, 3-3 in division. They won their last game. Unfortunately, when they got into the playoffs, they went head to head with the Bills without Tua, which
almost won.
will probably be a theme. They almost won. You're right. It'll probably be a theme of this pod, but without Tua, and unfortunately, they dropped the game. They were one of the most hot and dangerous and exciting teams to watch in the first 2 months of the season. But unfortunately, once Tua went down, their season was riddled with concussion storylines. But here we are. Take it away.
Okay, so their additions: Mike White as a backup quarterback, wide receivers Braxton Berrios and Robbie Anderson. Guess he's still in the league. Tight end Eric Saubert Croft. They got a DN Malik Reed. That's a nice pickup. Linebacker David Long. Corner Jalen Ramsey, who will be missing about 60% of the season, looks like. Safety Deshaun Elliott and a punter. They also drafted Cam Smith, corner, and a running back. Key departures: the retirement of Ryan Fitzpatrick, running back Matt Breida, center Ted Karras. They lose Shaq Lawson on the defensive line. They lose quite a few in their safety Bobby McLean and punter Matt Hack, but they did draft a punter to replace him. So that is what we were looking at with the Dolphins. They lose Mike Gesicki as well.
Yeah, I think this. I don't want to beat this horse to death. We're damn near an hour and 15 minutes into this pod. We haven't even gone into arguably the two best teams in the AFC East. You have to gauge this season on one of two things. Do you think Tua is healthy for all of it, half of it, or damn near none of it? None of it seems the most the most low percentage. I think half of it seems like the highest percentage. I think all of it seems like the middle of the pack, but it feels more likely than none of it. And when he's in the game, when he finishes the game, they're so good. Their win percentage is stupid. I love Mike McDaniel as an offensive play caller / head coach. I think he's made great strides. I love their offseason additions. They don't have really that go-to tight end or go-to every down back. That's one of the reasons they're in on Jonathan Taylor, per rumors. But they have arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league. They have a great play caller, and they have a stud defense. Where does that rank them, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, and it's like I kind of wanted to say, with losing their tight end who is a receiving option, having a kind of, wishy-washy offensive line and no bell cow back. But in Mike McDaniel's system, it's running back by committee mostly. If they got Jonathan Taylor, that would obviously be a big step up. Like you mentioned, wide receiver core is so fast everywhere. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are dominant, so they can explode. But yeah, defensively, they got Vic Fangio now, a really good defensive coordinator. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb as pass rushers. Christian Wilkins, who's a dominant interior D lineman. Xavier Howard, Javon Holland. I forgot to say this in the additions, but they got Eli Apple and they drafted the Cam Smith guy, so they got two new corners to try and hold on while Jalen Ramsey is injured. But this team's going to win a lot of games, and then when they would get Jalen Ramsey back, this defense, like we always talked about last year, how their offense was so explosive and won games. I think this team got tremendously more balanced and still has that explosive power. They were really, really streaky last year. So they started the season, and it's the new look Dolphins, and they win 3 straight. Tua goes down. They lose 3 straight without Tua, and they're now 3-3. Well, then they win 5 straight, then lose 5 straight. Like they had just tremendous streaks. Like the green W's and the red L's on their schedule are not, scattered. It's very hot and cold. But in that last losing streak with Tua, they lost to San Francisco, the Chargers, and the Bills, and the Packers. All scoring 17-17, 29-20. But it's just like towards the end of the year, teams started to figure it out and try, just don't let them go deep. And it started to get harder. Where it's beneficial is their defense being able to step up, give them opportunities, closer. But this team isn't a dominant powerhouse, but this is a team that every week can really, really like bury you if you're not careful with their tremendous speed and explosion. So I'm a Tua fan. If you listen to all our podcast, I am very highly rated on Tua, and I'm going to try my best to believe that he is going to play all season. If he does not, obviously they will be worse, which would be good for my Steelers, but I think he will play most games. So that's how I'm going to navigate. I'm going to pick option A. Tua plays most, if not all, of the season.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I just think that this team's upside is probably bigger than anyone's. They definitely have a top 5 upside in the league because the argument is Tua plays every single game. I think they're really good. And if Ramsey comes back in December fully ready to go, this team could make a legit Super Bowl run. I think they're coached pretty well, though I do see it would make sense that the coach has some regressions. And I think it would make sense that the offense has a hair bit of regressions just because like they're trying to preserve Tua. They don't have an elite running game, and they did lose their effective tight end. Though they didn't use him a ton with Mike McDaniel. I will add that. I don't know, man. I think this team they have the upside, but they also have the floor too. It's right there.
They also have a guy with the last name Van Ginkel on their team, which I think helps.
That adds something.
It's gotta. You ready to get to this? Kind of just sorry for your Dolphins fan. Been waiting.
I'm as ready to talk about the Dolphins as I am to open up this Bush Peach.
Ooh. All right. Week 1, they travel out to play the Los Angeles Chargers on CBS at 4:25.
I like the Chargers here.
Same. Then they travel over and play at New England on Sunday Night Football. This is what's crazy.
You want to give New England the win now?
Patriots after seeing this.
I'm still going to give it to the Dolphins because Tua early in the season, what they do, what they present. Obviously, I'm rooting for New England in this game. No, I mean that's.
Here's the crazy thing. Here's what's actually crazy. People are going to say let's say you're right and the Patriots do beat the Eagles week 1. non-conference road spot. Tom Brady, hey, after he retires, how you doing? And Patriots spoil the party, win 24-21. People are going to be like, oh, it's probably a fluke. Well, guess what? You're going to see him front and center against the Dolphins on Sunday night, week 2. They come out and start 2-0, and the entire narrative for the Patriots is flipped on its head. And it's, you know what I mean? Like, that's just crazy how quick the storylines can change. Like,
yeah,
the
but
Patriots,
then
it would be insane.
the target would come out.
Sure.
Too, though.
Sure. But
because
it's just
guess who
like
comes to town week 3? We just talked about it.
Yeah. And
we play the Jets. We go to the Jets, but still.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, you play the Jets week 3.
Yeah, if everyone sees Mac Jones with confidence, offense work. Okay, we did the Patriots.
Yeah.
Week 3 for the Dolphins, they finally come home and they play the Denver Broncos. I like a dub here. Then
I'm going to give the Dolphins the win. Sorry.
You're good. Then to the Buffalo.
Man, this is tough. I like the Bills here.
Me too. I have them at 1-3.
I am at 2-2.
Okay. They then host the New York Giants.
They're beating the Giants.
I like them to beat the Giants too, especially it's still hot, early October. Then they host the Carolina Panthers.
They're beating the Panthers 4-2 on the season now.
W. And a big game Sunday night at Philadelphia Eagles.
Don't even think Jalen don't remember getting his ass benched for Tua. Don't even think. Eagles by a lot.
They're homies. All right, then they come back home and host the Patriots.
Yeah, I said New England could split here. I'm giving New England the win. I got them at 4-4.
I believe this game is in London, 9:30 a.m. Make sure you get your asses up early for Chiefs versus Dolphins. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins are going to have the record they want at this point, but as long as Tua's on the field, they have a chance to win this game. Obviously Tyreek is going to want to beat the Chiefs. I think the Dolphins win this game to move to 5-4.
Dude, so do I. I'm so sick of the Chiefs' losses. Like, it's just a bad idea.
I know.
They hit their bye.
I said this on our pod, and I want to kind of revisit real quick. I gave the Chiefs 7 wins that I thought they were winning for sure. But I immediately said they're winning 10 easily. No matter what, you got to chalk them up for 10. There was a rule with Tom Brady. If Tom Brady took the field, he was winning 10 games, except for his last season. Shut up, we're not talking about it. That's the Patrick Mahomes' new rule with Andy Reid. He's winning 10 games. I don't know where they're at, but he's winning 10.
They come home, they hit the bye week, and then they come out of the bye week and they host the Las Vegas Raiders. W.
Agree.
Then they're at the New York Jets for Black Friday. I gave the Jets that win.
I don't
at home first Black Friday game. The Jets are taking it.
Yeah, I don't remember what I gave them, but I think I gave it the Dolphins, and I do like the Dolphins here.
Back-to-back road spot, they travel to Washington. Not a very far road trip. I mean, it's all East Coast time zone, New York, Washington. I like the Dolphins. That could get ugly, though. Washington's defensive front could make things interesting, but...
No, Dolphins kill them.
They then have 3 straight home games, all tough. Monday night, December 11th, they host the Tennessee Titans.
Titans are super physical. They better hope they have Tua in this game.
Yep. Then they host the Jets, which we also said this is potentially, Jalen Ramsey's back at this point.
Yeah, but I did say Aaron Rodgers is really bad in Florida too. I don't remember what I gave the Jets in this game, but I do think they get swept by the Dolphins.
Yep,
I like the Dolphins to move to 10-4 here.
December 24th, they host the Dallas Cowboys. This is a big game. AFC versus NFC, but both teams looking for playoffs. I like the Dolphins to capitalize.
Can I just say something real quick? I'm gonna fast forward a hair. Home against the Cowboys, at the Ravens, home against the Bills. That's just really, if you want to include the Jets, go ahead. That's a tough month to close out the year, man. That's really
Absolutely
tough.
it is.
I like the Cowboys. I like the Ravens. I like them to get a must win to get into the playoffs. So I have them dropping 2 in a row, but winning the last one 11-6.
See, so I had them beating the Jets and Cowboys, but they're going to lose their last two. They're going to lose at the Ravens, and then they're going to lose hosting the Bills. Remember, it's kind of a get-back spot against Baltimore, or
I was going to
Baltimore is
say
a
that.
get-back spot because of the comeback. And the Bills, I just think – did I have them losing to Buffalo? Yeah, I did. I had them at 1-3, only beating Denver. Buffalo gonna sweep them? Yeah, they are. They're 10-7. I got the Dolphins at 10-7. Again, these teams that like could probably be better than this in a vacuum, yes, but they're playing so many good teams week in, week out in this AFC that's loaded. What did you have?
I have them at 11-6. I said this. Shout out Kyle Miller, listens to the pod. I said this to him. I think there is a legit chance that the fourth place team in this division could win 10 games. That's how good I think this division is.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, because the worst quarterback in the division is Mac Jones by a hair over Tua. Just literally, I think Tua is just a hair better. But the coach is so good, right? And then the Jets, Aaron Rodgers is good, but the coach I have questions on. Josh Allen's so great. I really like Mike McDaniel. There's not a bad team in this division, and I think the worst team is the Jets, and I have them at 8 wins, and I might be low.
Might be. What do you think the Dolphins over-under is?
9.5.
That's correct. So with the Dolphins and the Jets, both of their win-loss totals is 9.5, and I have them both at 10-7. That's wild.
Yeah. You got my boys finishing 4th, and don't think I won't forget that.
By the way, Patriots to win the division is plus 800.
I know.
Jets to win the division is plus 250, and the Dolphins to win the division is plus 290.
Nope.
So just so you guys know, I forgot to give those odds why we did the teams. But we could almost skip to it now since you were just talking about it, though. This is the only division I did have my list down pre-hand because I just couldn't do it. We do it every division. Rank the division by quarterback coach. Only those two. Where do you even start?
I wanted to do something, but I didn't do it. I don't think you can give this a true ranking unless you're willing to grade each single thing out of 100. And I wish I would have done it, but I can quickly do it. So real quick, just for quarterback's sake and coach sake, okay? Let's just do this real quick. If Belichick's a 99, is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, you can do that.
I think the second best coach in this division is Mike McDaniel, but I think he's probably an 85. Okay. I think McDermott's probably an 80, and I think Saleh's probably a 75. Okay. Then the best quarterback's Josh Allen. I think he's a 95. I think Rodgers is probably a 90. Tua is probably an 85. And Max probably
75.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay. And then you would have to take the averages. And so far right now, the Patriots are at 174. Okay. And then you have the Bills at 95 plus 80. 80 is 175. Okay. So the Bills come in above the Patriots by 1. Okay. And then you have the Dolphins who come in pretty high here because it's 85 and 85 at 170, though. Okay. And then unfortunately, the Jets, they're going to get a 90 and a 75. They're going to come in low at 165. So the Bills by
I'd
1
give
point.
Bill a 90.
That's tough for me, but I could see it. That's fine.
It's
That's
just.
fine. I think he's at least a 95. But, I mean, that still puts them.
We can meet in the middle at 95.
Okay, so even if he's a 95, if you drop 5 points off him, they're at 169, which puts them slightly above under the Dolphins. So it's Bills, Dolphins, Patriots,
We'll go Bills,
Jets.
Dolphins, Patriots,
Jets. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I'm fine with that.
Do you think I have Rodgers too low at a 90?
No.
Because I think I might be a little high.
No, you look at last year wasn't great, and now he's coming to a new team, lesser offensive line, 95. 90's fine. But we did Bills, Dolphins,
Patriots, Jets.
Yeah. And some people listening will be like, yeah, but I would give Mac a 65. You're just looking at last year when he had nothing going for him. Literally nothing. He was uphill carrying the sleds.
A 65, though? That's some Zach Wilson shit.
Some people are laughing at you thinking that, and they're like, yeah, Mac Jones is Zach Wilson last year. Some people think that. I'm just saying. Some people think that.
I'm not even a Mac guy. I don't even support Mac, and I'm a Pats fan. He's not worse than a 75.
I'm just saying, you watch all the games and you see some of the bright spots. People who don't watch Patriots games, every time there's a highlight, it's pretty much slander on Mac Jones. He didn't have a good season last year. We did the Patriots already.
Do you know his Madden rating?
I don't.
74.
And Madden's gross.
Yeah. Sorry, we're back to the Bills. Bills fans are probably like, shut up and let us talk about the damn Bills.
Well, you just want us to fucking worship them? They're good as hell, okay? Relax, Bills fans.
They're good as hell, but I have them dropping to the Jets week 1.
Ain't no way.
No, there is a way.
They could score more points for sure. Absolutely.
I got the Jets week 1.
Wait, why are we on the schedule already? What was their schedule last?
Dude, this pot has gone off the deep end. Time out. Let me back the hell up. Bills won the division. They were 13-3, which I will say this: if you're a Bills fan, you're listening, you're probably wanting some love. I'll give you some love. 13-3, and they were honestly slandered damn near all year. Were they not?
Yeah. So I think why this happens is they're on the rise. They're doing all the good. They lose to the Chiefs. I feel like was what happened. We were robbed. So they came in last year number 1 in odds to win the Super Bowl. They were everybody's horse. There was a wagon. They fall short, and then people are just like, time to move on. Like
they fell short. They won 13-3. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
Right. But what I'm saying is like the overarching narrative for a lot of people who are like casuals, I think, it's just Burrow and Mahomes now. Like Allen's getting voided out, and the Bills aren't.
Not a chance.
The Bills are tremendous. We're on the same page. I'm just trying to think outside the box for why they were slandered. I mean, I've heard on some other shows and even thought of myself, halfway through the season they have that massive snowstorm which affected the community. They had the DeMar Hamlin stuff. Josh Allen was battling through an injury. The loss of Brian Daboll ripped the offense, especially early, and they won 13 games. Like,
They went
It's the Buffalo
13-3 in a
Or
season
four-
in which we
13
think
13. There's 17
no,
games.
they didn't finish the game with DeMar Hamlin.
Oh, the Bengals. Shame on me. Shame on me.
It's
They
okay.
didn't. I know.
I think they were losing the game 7-3 or 7-0. I don't remember. Not that it matters.
Also, but even still alluding to like when we talk how loaded the AFC is, the Buffalo Bills have basically said if you don't have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, good chance we run you over.
Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow.
Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, excuse me.
Yeah.
If you don't have one of the other two,
Yeah.
upper echelon, top of
You're 100%. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. If you are starting a quarterback and their name is not Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, or Lamar or Herbert,
Aaron Rodgers,
you're at a drastic disadvantage. Josh has got himself to be, he's top 3. I think he's third. I think, where did you have him? 5th, 6th?
No, I think I had him just fall out of the top 3. I think I had him at 4. I put Jalen Hurts above him.
That's fine. That's respectable. We both like Josh. They technically won their last 7 games. Unfortunately, they got beat at home in a playoff game against Joe Burrow. I mean, so literally, let's just recap their last 3 off seasons. Lost to Burrow, lost to Mahomes, lost to Mahomes. Kind of what you just said.
Yeah.
It's tough. Let's get into their wins, losses. I'll let you take it away. Not wins, losses. Adds losses.
I got you.
You know what I mean.
They add a backup quarterback. They snatch up Damian Harris back who left the Patriots. Wide receiver Trent Sherfield, Dante Hardy. They grab a tackle, a couple guards. On the defensive end, they grab a tackle. Leonard Floyd, outside linebacker, nice pickup. Cameron Dantzler at corner. Just a couple guys. It's a lot of depth on defense. They've got their starting unit mostly. They add through the draft Dalton Kincaid, one of 6 elite tight ends that came out of the draft. He'll be a receiving option. Interior O-line, and again, linebacker Dorian Williams. Their departures, they lose a Devin Singletary, their other backup quarterback. Couple slot guys who are okay. Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder leave. A couple guards, but the big real loss was middle linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, Pro Bowler, 100 tackle a season guy, starter from day one. They lose a big piece in the middle of their defense. I will say straight up, if you count the 2 games in the postseason last year for a total of 18 games, Josh Allen led their team in rushing in 10 of them. That has to change. Also, in their 18 games, only one time did they have a 100-yard rusher. He had 106 yards, and it was the running back that's no longer on the team. That's always going to be something that holds them back. That's, again, why them and the Dolphins are in the Jonathan Taylor sweepstakes. We will see what James do, younger brother of running back Dalvin Cook, in the lead back role. But this Dolphins team this Bills team begins and ends with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs carrying the offense, and a defense that had no holes. You could argue middle linebacker now. But I'll let you take it from there.
No, I mean this is a very good roster. Their holes are few and far between. I think they have a top-tier tight end duo as long as Dalton Kincaid's good. He is a rookie, so I don't like to project. But if he's good, their tight end room is very good. I like Dawson Knox. I think he's great. Gabe Davis has always been a very solid number 2, and Stephon Diggs is top tier. He's an A+. Josh Allen, A+. I like their running back room right now. James Cook, who they're really ready to roll with. They brought in Damian Harris, who's great between the tackles, which they've struggled with as a between the tackles team. And Latavius
They'd like
Murray,
to run the ball on 3rd and 2 instead of QB sneak.
Yeah, Latavius Murray too adds a little bit of that between the tackles, leadership, veteran role. I think he's a great add. You talked about Leonard Floyd being added this offseason. He's depth. That's depth.
Yeah.
Gregory Rousseau and Von Miller are the starting ends. Leonard
Ed
Floyd
Oliver's in the middle.
is depth. That's
Matt Milano.
No, they got dudes. Javarius White's been a dog. This secondary has been the leader of this defense, even though they're good in other places. Javarius White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Damar Hamlin, prayers up.
And when they all played in their second preseason game, they looked really good too. I think they gave up 2 touchdowns in 4 plays, but I mean, they looked great. That starting unit looked good. They were getting, they were playing elite quarterback play, but
yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, they're gonna have to nip that in the butt with the season.
Oh goodness, them Steelers, huh? I think Buffalo is. They're the Kansas City. They get the benefit of the doubt right now. Maybe not in the playoffs, but regular season they get benefit of the doubt right now.
Yeah, there hasn't been much change. They lose a middle linebacker. They still have Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs at wide receiver, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Those guys are receivers that are just big body tight ends.
Yeah.
They're just polishing themselves. They'd like to have better success in the playoffs, but they're pretty much a lock to get there. And also I'd like to say I just kind of briefly looked ahead at their schedule. I think they can be really good, but their last 7 games, wow. So I don't know if there's really much to.
Real quick, this is Josh Allen since coming into the league. Rookie year, 9-7. Then they were 6-10, which is kind of a down year. 10-6, 13-3, 11-6, 13-3. And the last 3 years, 500 points, 483. Last year was the step down, but they had their best defensive season. 455 points scored, but they had their lowest in years at 286. So this is a really good football team.
Yeah, I think the only is, and maybe he'll fix it himself, but after losing Brian Daboll, the turnovers did increase. And we saw the improvement Brian Daboll was able to do with Josh Allen, and then again with Daniel Jones to an extent. Brian Daboll is the real deal. So it does suck losing him, but I think Josh Allen will be able to overcome it. But I'm actually going to extend that. We talked about the Jets, how they would want an earlier beginning or easy beginning and tough late. That's exactly what Bills got. Bills are going to be everyone's wagon early, and then they're really going to be tested. I just think the reason why we're kind of speeding through the Bills is the last 3 or 4 years, everyone knows what the Bills are. They haven't changed much, and they just roll the same way. And outside of losing Brian Daboll and a middle linebacker, they're pretty much the same. So we'll just get right into it. Week 1 at New York, win or loss?
I have him as a loss, and the reason I gave is just the smoke screen of what the Jets truly are early on is going to be tough for the Bills to prepare for. I like Aaron Rodgers in that game at home, September 11th. Jets.
Okay, dub for me. All right, 1-0. Then they host the Raiders.
Tough spot for the Raiders here because the Bills coming off a week 1 loss. They got to get back on track. They're going to roll them.
Also, I think we went over it earlier in a different podcast, but the Raiders have 17 tough spots this season. Week 3 at the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, Bills are going to slaughter the Commanders, move to 2-1.
Go. At home versus Miami. Go.
Yeah, this is I believe I gave the Bills this victory. I'm sticking with that.
They then go to London to play Jacksonville. We talked about how Jacksonville is going to be there for 2 straight weeks. I'm not slamming the brakes on the Jaguars, but I'm pumping them. They're losing this game. I think the Jaguars, I think I came in with much hype on them. I like the Bills to win again.
This is the second of the 2, though, correct?
Yes, Jacksonville
Falcons.
is, and then the Bills, yes.
Yeah, no, Bills lose this game. It's just a weird spot because Jacksonville takes a second week there.
I'll tell you what, though, if the Bills beat Jacksonville, it'll be whatever the result is this game, I think it'll be a huge talking point across shows all week on what it means to be in is the back-to-back game unfair? Like if the Jags win by 17, is it unfair? Or if the Bills come in, it's like, see, it doesn't matter. We could just have a team in London. Teams are going to be able to go in there and win. It doesn't matter. So that'll be an interesting dynamic, I think, that week in October. But I have them 5-0. Let's go. They then come back to the States and they host the New York Giants.
They're beating the Giants.
6-0 for me here. Sunday, October 22nd at New England.
Yeah, I just Josh Allen's been a problem for New England. I had the Bills, I think, sweeping New England. I have them winning here.
I had New England as this being an upset spot. I'm going to stay true to it. Bills, coming off of a lot of wins, and they lose one here. They're 6-1 for me. They then short week Thursday night host Tampa Bay.
I think they beat Tampa.
Okay, so I have them 7-1 through 8, and what I was alluding, and you have them 7-1 as well.
6-2.
Okay. Yeah, the Jacksonville in week 1. So, but what I wanted to say is pay attention to these teams I'm about to go through. This is their last 9 games. Okay, so they're at the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they're better than the Bengals. I think they're
I don't think they're there yet. I think the Bengals are better.
Okay. Then Monday night they host Denver. Again, you can see like Brad, Denver's not, we don't know what they are. And if they hit their ceiling with Sean and Russ, they're really good.
They're better than Denver. I think they're better than Denver.
I do too. They then host the Jets. Second go around.
I have them beating the Jets in this one. So we both have them splitting, but differently.
Yep. They then follow that up with at the Eagles.
Loss at the Eagles.
So again, those 4, I also have that as a loss, but those 4, Bengals, Broncos, Jets, Eagles. They then get a grimed bye week. They have at Eagles, at Chiefs, with a bye week in between to kind of gather themselves. They come out of the bye week at Kansas City.
They've been so good against Kansas City in the regular season. They've been good against them in the playoffs. They're almost built to beat them. I do think they beat them here.
Same. But again, now we're talking about Bengals, Broncos, Jets, Eagles, Chiefs. They then host the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I really like Dallas. I just love Dallas. They're losing to Dallas.
Dude, I think Dallas beats them here, actually. Dallas comes into Buffalo and gets a dub.
Yeah.
After Dallas, they go out for the first game ever on Peacock, December 23rd, 8 p.m. at the Los Angeles Chargers. I like them to take another loss.
We're really agreeing here. If you remember, I had the Chargers winning the division. I do think the Chiefs are there, but I just have the Chargers taking a step with Kellen Moore. It's a loss here.
Host New England. I like that as a W.
I had them losing to I had New England losing both games to the Bills. Give me the Bills here.
And then the last game is at Miami. I have them splitting with Miami, so I'm going to put it down as a loss.
Yeah, so I have Buffalo moving to 11 wins. I have
11-6.
I have 3 11-6 teams in the AFC East. 3.
What I will say though, guys, again, we had them at 6-2, and I had them at 7-1 through 8 games. Bengals, Broncos, Jets, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins. And if you think the Patriots are a weak team, one, we've tried to tell you all podcasts how they're not a bad team. And secondly, in division, those games get a little wild sometimes. So for that to be their fin games with a bye week in there, the last 10 weeks of their season, like heaven forbid, the Bills start like 3-4 or 4-3 or something and slip up early, like tough. That could be a bad recipe because they got a lot of tough Chiefs, Eagles, Chargers, Miami, all on, and Bengals and Eagles. Their last 5 road games: Bengals, Eagles, Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins.
They can't afford to let the Commanders and Raiders get the best of them. They cannot afford that. No slip-ups in those 2. Those are must-win
Or the
games.
Giants. The Commanders, or Raiders, the Giants.
Or the Bucks. They cannot let Baker Mayfield take them to task. They cannot afford the easy must-wins.
Yeah, they got to get them because we said the Raiders, Washington, Giants, and Bucks, and 3 of those games are home games. Can't
Yeah.
slip up on those.
Yeah.
What does suck for them though, their extra home game, like their 9th home game, is listed as the one in London where Jacksonville's there for a second straight week. So they don't get the extra home game either. And I wanted to say something about, just a hot take here. If you stuck with us through this extra long podcast, hopefully you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed doing it. But what I say is when you're projecting your seeding, if you like to predict what the playoffs are going to look like, I think in the AFC, if you were a number 1 seed, if you won your division last year, you are not going to be the number 1 seed this next year. The Bengals, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Jags. I think in the AFC, the schedules are so hard for those first teams that it's going to be one of the other teams so that leaves the Jets, Dolphins, Patriots, Steelers, Browns, Ravens, Chargers, Broncos. One of those teams I think will sneak up and win the first seed because the number 1 seeds have such a difficult schedule because no matter what whole divisions you play, Jags, Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals are all going to draw all of them. Plus whatever number 1 seed NFC, and to their credit, most of it's weak. The Bills got the luckiest one in the Buccaneers probably, but that's either Eagles or the Vikings or the 49ers. I just think if you're a 1 seed last year in the AFC, you will not be the 1 seed this year in the AFC. I think that's kind of a hot take, but at the same time, I feel like it can kind of make sense.
Yeah, the thing is I gave the Bills wins against. I had them sweeping the Patriots. I had them beating the Chiefs. I had them beating the Dolphins at least one time. I mean, those are games that are losable, And obviously, I had them losing to a lot of the good teams too. So I mean, those are games that are winnable as well. So it's the Bills they're definitely up in the air. They could be a better team. They could be a worse team. They could be right where I said they are. They're.
I'm going to try and have this stat for every division, but you AFC East at 41-27 as a whole. 41 wins coming out of that division. That's pretty good.
Well, mark my words. They will have the most total wins in the entire NFL.
I would like to make a bet with you for the season, AFC North versus AFC East. I think that would be fun.
We need to do something. Do you think the North wins the total wins, Mark?
Yeah, but to be fair, this AFC East, you have them at 27. I have them at 39-29. I'm only 2 wins off you. We're pretty similar here.
Yeah.
After the AFC North breakdown and I see it in front of me, I'd like to see how close that is.
Yeah, I would love to make some sort of bet, not financial, fun. We need a fun bet on this season for this specific, because I think you're probably thinking the AFC North is going to win the most amount of games. I just really think that the AFC East is going to shock people. I think they're just going to be winning so many damn games. They're going to beat up on each other.
Yeah, I think, like I said before the podcast, I think the AFC North and AFC East are the 2 strongest top to bottom divisions, and they happen to have our teams in it. And the funny thing about it is the 2 teams that a lot of people would say are going to finish 4th in the division are Steelers and Patriots. So, we're both out here just saying that, it's going to be 2 13-0 teams week 14 battling it out. I mean,
can't wait.
The Bills' odds to win the division are plus 120. So even though they are the favorites, they are still plus odds to win the division. And that's your AFC East.
This was a long pod. We're not going to keep you any longer. I think we did it justice. We talked a lot of football here. I would love the feedback. Hopefully you guys listen to the whole thing. Hopefully you're excited for both the AFC North and our our bold predictions pod, which comes at the end of the year. There is some news coming on the horizon. I'm going to give you that little nugget. If you've made it this far, there is news on the horizon we're very excited about. There's some bad news, too, that will probably drop as well coming soon. We're not going to talk about that right now, but fun pod. Brad, anything else?
No, man. It was a good, fun pod. And for those of you who are repeat listeners or first-time listeners and you thought, a little bit of Jeff was kind of biased on the Patriots, he just doesn't see it right. You're not going to want to hear me talking about the Steelers next week. Like, you are not going to want to listen to it. I'm telling you, you are not going to want to hear it.
This was fun. Can't wait to talk next week. Schedules are crazy. Pods are coming out at different times. Bear with us for a couple of weeks. Football's almost here. We miss it. We know you miss it too. I think we're out.
Yep.
Real talk.
That's all.